Okay, great. I see that everyone joined. Hello once again. Let me do a quick introduction. So today we have a webinar, how ApprovalMax tightens the financial controls for NetSuite users. And my name is Alina. I'm Senior Head of Partner Channel here at ApprovalMax, and I will be accompanied by my wonderful colleague, Alex Kesselman. Alex, over to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Alina. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Kesselman. I'm a solutions engineer here at ApprovalMax. And yeah, for the past 7 years, my main role was to listen to our customers, understand what are your challenges and how to implement technology for your day-to-day business. Happy to be here.
Great. Thanks a lot, Alex. So let's have a quick overview of our agenda for today's webinar. We'll start with introducing ApprovalMax, unless you don't know what it is. And we are definitely interested to know a little bit more about you and what tools you're using. So we will launch a few polls to ask very simple questions. We would love to introduce ApprovalMax for NetSuite. This is one of the new solutions that we have launched this year. And we would love to talk about the benefits and show a quick live demo of the solution itself. And we'll definitely spend a bit of a time to answer all of your questions. So please do not hesitate to send your questions in the question area or in the Q&A area here at Zoom. And we are starting with a quick introduction of ApprovalMax. So while you're looking at this beautiful slide prepared by our team and reading the message about the robust financial controls and fraud protection, I would love to share with you two important insights. For any business owners, a rise in late payments nowadays within the current economical situation puts pressure on cash flow. And as we see, this makes it hard to pay both for the bills and make accurately predictable future cash flow. It's really important and it's important to understand and to predict your cash flow. And right now, understanding the numbers is becoming more difficult, and that influences the investments and the hiring decisions that we can make with confidence. The second insight I would like to share with you is that in 2022, PricewaterhouseCoopers made a research on global economic crimes and frauds. 51% of the surveyed organizations said that they experienced fraud in the past 2 years. Is it a big number or not? It is actually, because it's the highest level in the past 20 years of research. So knowing these insights should motivate any business to put the right tools in place, such as ApprovalMax, for example, to make sure you prevent your internal or external fraud, and make sure that the company increases the predictability of the cash flow. And you might be wondering, what would be your numbers when you implement ApprovalMax? So let's have a look and see that 25% of the bills that are going through ApprovalMax are approved within less than 2 hours, and 50% of the bills are approved in less than 1 day. Those numbers are incredible, especially when we talk to the clients that have just implemented ApprovalMax, and before they were spending weeks or months chasing the approvals. This is a great and significant numbers that you can save when you implement ApprovalMax. And if you really are tired of waiting those weeks and months, you can understand a bit better how our solution can help you with improving your numbers. And you can have a look at the slide that we have right here. So on average, our clients are saving up to 10 business days per month. Some businesses, for example, a recent business in healthcare, cut their approval times by 95%. And when we're talking about cutting the approval time, we're always thinking about the efficiency of the processes, efficiency of our accounts payable processes and accounts receivable. And we can help you to improve those numbers by at least 50%. And of course, any business and any financial team would be thinking about the errors. We know that For example, Oracle revealed that 20% of the bills are coming with errors by default. So we are definitely we definitely understand that this is important thing to think about, and reducing the errors by 80% with ApprovalMax can be a great thing. So let us talk a bit more about our solution, and I will head it over to Alex to move forward and do the intro.
Yep, thank you, Alina. So what I want to talk about is 3 pillars of what ApprovalMax is actually staying on. So the first pillar would be a security. Whenever it comes for approving your financial documents, whenever you need to make sure that everything is under control, it is no better way than exclude all of your decision makers, all of your approvers from your accounting platform. At the same time, some of the customers, they like to use maybe some kind of an email or paper-based approval systems, but they're also very into the fraud. So what in that case, on the security standpoint, ApprovalMax can do? You can at the same time keep your users away from your NetSuite account or pretty much any other accounting platform. And at the same time, you can allow them to make it all digital. The second pillar would be a convenience. So whenever we are adding a new platform to our user experience, it might take some time for them to learn how things works. The greatest part of it, that they don't need to have access to NetSuite, and ApprovalMax allows them to do all of their work within just one work frame. Whenever you build your unified and streamlined multi-step approval workflow, for your users, it will be just one piece in one window where they will be doing all of their approval decisions. If they want to, they can just simply download our mobile app and make all of their approvals on the go. If they want to, they can do that through our emails, or they can simply log into their ApprovalMax account and they will straight away see what exactly awaiting their approval. And the third pillar would be a auditability of the process, a transparency of the process. So whenever your accountant or bookkeeper or external auditor want to see how exactly each and every decision was made and who made those decisions, ApprovalMax will allow you to see the history log of all the different changes, all the comments, and by the end of the process, once you've approved your bill or the purchase order, we will generate an audit report for you, which will show you who exactly made the decision, why they've made it, and when they've made it. And at the same time, will be sent into your NetSuite account. We can move to the next slide, and that will be a poll for you. So just for us to understand a bit more about the audience.
That's absolutely right. So we'd like to know a little bit more about how you use NetSuite and whether you use NetSuite approvals or not. So please do not hesitate to participate and engage in our poll. Great, we see responses coming in. Awesome, let's wait a few more seconds. Great, and we reveal the numbers. Wow, 50-50. We have people using and not using approvals in NetSuite. That's great. Good diversity. So I'm handing it over to Alex again to move further on with the explaining how ApprovalMax for NetSuite works.
Right, so let's talk about the actual solution and the way it works. There is 2 ways how we can handle the whole process. At first, we need to talk about the actual entry point. How would we create our request, or how would we streamline them into ApprovalMax? There is 2 ways. It depends for you which one you prefer. The first one would be that you can create your purchase orders and bills within ApprovalMax itself. So you can add as many users as needed. You can provide them with a very specific user roles. Let's say what type of vendors they allow to use, what type of category codes they allow to select, what type of items they can purchase. And once you've established that, they will be able to do that within your ApprovalMax account. They can do that through mobile, they can do that through browser, and submit it for approval. Once the approval process is done, once it goes through all the different tiers and all the different approval levels, it will be then automatically synchronized into a NetSuite account under approved section. However, there is another option. In case you prefer to create your bills in NetSuite itself, let's say you're using some kind of an OCR tool that extracts the data from your bills, you can just simply put them under pending approval status back in NetSuite, and ApprovalMax will automatically grab the document, run through the sequence of your approval steps, making sure that everyone who is involved in the approval process will receive their email notifications or push notifications on their phone. And once the approval process is completed, it will then be synced back into NetSuite with an approved status. That is in a general theory the way it works. We can move to the next slide, please. So what are the key benefits of that? Well, the first one, it's quite obvious from the pricing standpoint. We all know that the price per user license within NetSuite itself might cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. So rather than you'll be adding all of your users into your NetSuite account, allowing them to see all kind of different financial statements and paying for all of these users, makes much more sense, both from the pricing and the security standpoint, to add them all into your ApprovalMax account. The second one would be just a faster approval compared to the NetSuite itself. You can create your own approval system with NetSuite. You probably will need to use some kind of integrators, and you will spend lots of money to build up the workflow. But at the same time, once it is built, it will be very, very hard to make any changes to those workflows. Speaking about ApprovalMax in that case, you can make changes in just seconds, building a very simple or a very complex workflow. So it's very easy to set up, very easy to configure. You can do it yourself. No need to involve any integrators or outsourcing agencies. At the same time, once you've built this workflow, you will find it super helpful that you can build a multi-step, multi-tiered approval workflows, assigning very specific rules per your decision makers. So you can make tens or hundreds of approval steps. That purely depends on your organizational structure, and you can do that with ease. For your users, on the other hand, for their convenience, they can make their approvals or even raising the requests using our mobile app. It is available for both iOS and Android. It's free of charge. So whenever you are, if you have an internet connection, you can make your approvals on the go. And of course, preventing fraud. So every time someone is making any changes, even after the final approval, or if someone is trying to bypass the workflow, we will be able to notify such things and send you a notification about the potential fraudulent activities within your NetSuite account. Or if you, let's say, receive the duplicate invoice, we will flag you on such things. So these are 6 major key features of the key benefits of the product. We can move to the next slide, please. All right, so we're coming to the juicy part, and let's see the way it works in action. I will share my screen. You should be able to see my screen now. Let me know if you can see it.
We do, yes.
All right, awesome. So what we are seeing here, it's one of my Oracle NetSuite organizations. It is already connected to my ApprovalMax account, but in case you're wondering how would you do that, the easiest way for you to start this journey would be to go on our website, ApprovalMax.com, and that will start a 14 days free trial. There is no credit card required, so it's absolutely risk-free. You can play around with the workflows, you can make sure that everything is working properly for you, and we can help you building such workflows. And then you can decide on whether you would like to purchase subscription or not. So once you've started your free trial, that will be something that you will see. That is your main work frame. So here we can see 2 different workflows. One for the purchase orders, one for your vendor bills. Technically speaking, all of these workflows work in exactly the same way. I will show you what I mean. So if I'll take a look under my bill approval workflow, you'll notice that for now, it's sort of like a blank screen. So these workflows, it is just a canvas of your organizational structure. Let's imagine that all of our bills should at first go to one or many of our head of departments. And then once it's all approved, once we have maybe higher amounts, it should go to the senior management. Having that in mind, we will be able to create such workflow here. But before that, we need to add our users, those who will be actually using the product. For that, we will go into our left-hand side. Here we will find user section. And if you have a list of everyone who should be involved in the approval process, and as you can remember, we do not charge you by the amount of users. You can add as many as you wish. Just take a list of all the email addresses and add them all in bulk. So no need to add them one by one. Once you have all of your users on the list, you can decide what should be their user role. So you can really differentiate what each and every person from your team is allowed to see and what they allow to approve. There are 4 major user roles: account owner, administrator, auditors, and users. They all have different privileges. We can talk about that a bit later. Once we have all of our users, let's go back into our approval workflow and let's create the workflow that we would like to see. So for now, I have only one approval step where I'm the only approver. Let's say this one will be our head of departments. And we will also create a few more steps. This first one will be our legal department. And the last approval step will be called board approval step. So all of these steps, they work in sequence. So now we can create the delegation of authority. We can really provide it from the very broad system and then narrow it down, make it more complex. For example, Allison, Chris, and John, they will be under the first approval step, while Kate and Veronica will be under the second approval step. And for the board approval step, let's say it will be me and it will be Marco Polo. Now, whenever we want to create a rule, provide a rule to our approvers, we need to go into the approval matrix. And one thing that you might notice here, that columns here represent different data points from your NetSuite account. A list of your vendors. If you have chart of accounts, you will find the chart of accounts here. If you're using any custom fields, you'll also find them here within your approval matrix. Like, for example, I have departments, have locations, and I have so much more here. So all of these values are taken from your NetSuite account, and you can use them to create rules per your users. For instance, Allison, she will be approving all the bills from the department number 2, while Chris, he will be approving all the bills from department number 3, and John will be approving all the bills from all other departments except for the number 2 and number 3. So I will create a rule department does not match, and I will provide the same rules. Now for the second approval step, for the legal department, perhaps I don't want these guys to approve smaller amounts. I want them to be involved in the approval process only if the incoming bill is greater than $10,000 or 10,000 pounds, like in my example. So I'll create a rule if it's over or equal to 10K, then these guys should be involved in the approval process. Same goes for board. Let's say these guys will be approving everything that is over or equal to 1 million pounds. And just like that, we've created a delegation of authority. Once we build the workflow, just simply activate that, and we are now set to go. Now, whenever you'll put your bill under pending approval state back in your NetSuite account, your users, they will receive their email notifications or push notifications on the phone. And once they'll open that, it will show them all the requests that are awaiting their approval. So if there is something that is awaiting your approval based on the rules from the workflow, you will find just those requests. Here on the right side of the screen, we will see what exactly we're approving, which vendor is being used, all the details about what's the transaction number, due date, expense categories, or line item categories, whatever you can think of. If you have any attachments that was sent during the bill creation, you will find those attachments here as well. So you have just enough information to make this approval decision. In case you have a very complex workflow, you have many people approving same bills, and you would like to collaborate with the team of your approvers, you can use the commenting tool here on the bottom of the screen. Let's say I'll approve it. These comments and all the changes that you're making to your requests will be stored under the audit trail. So you can always come back and see what exactly happens within your account, who made those decisions, who made those changes. And once you're ready to approve it, just click on approve, and this decision will go into your NetSuite account under approved section. That is in the nutshell the way it works, and the process is quite the same for your purchase orders. So you will see that the structure here looks exactly the same. You can create your purchase orders within ApprovalMax. You can bring them from NetSuite. You can build as many of these approval steps as you want, and you can really differentiate the process for different financial documents. As a last piece, before I'll continue with the presentation, I'd like to show you one very important thing that might be quite helpful for administrators of the account, those who would like to see if the bills are actually being approved by the relevant team members, if the purchase order is being raised by the relevant team members. We have built-in reports capabilities. Some of these reports are already predefined by us from the very, very beginning. So you can use them from the day one, like let's say bills pending approval, purchase orders approved this month. But the beauty of these reports that you can build your own very customized ones. Let's say I would like to create a report for my bills that were approved maybe this month. I hope I have something this month already approved. You can also add some additional filters here, for example, by whom it was approved by, what was the decision date, if there is any fraud risk. Then under the visible columns, you can select what type of data you would like to include into your report. Maybe what's an active step, by whom it was approved by, what was the creation date, what was the decision date, and how long the decision took. Once it is all done, let's say approved bills this month. Well, I don't have any approved bills this month, but in that case, it doesn't matter. It will show you the list of all the bills that included into the filters that you've selected. You can, of course, download such report and use in your Excel spreadsheets. But most importantly, you can schedule those reports. Let's say once a week, you would like this report to be sent to someone from your team on Monday at 8 a.m. You can create a rule, save it. Now you don't even need to log into your account. Such reports will be generated automatically and then sent to your recipients. All right. With that being said, let's go back into our presentation. And what we'll do next, we'll run the second poll. So feel free, let me just see if I can run it myself. All right, you should be able to answer a poll right now. So, all right, this is always a hard question to ask. I always scared that if everyone will say like, oh no, please do not. But I see a very nice.
Yeah, very good percentage of participation and people interested.
All right.
Okay.
So as a side note, you can start your free trial already today, just as I mentioned. You can play around with all the different workflows. You will find there is a chat on the bottom of the screen in case you have any questions, and feel free to reach out to our support team or to our sales team. We will be more than happy to jump on a call with you and making sure that your onboarding process is as smooth as possible. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you, Alex, a lot for the demo and for such a great presentation of our solution. I see a few questions coming in. So one of the first questions that we can answer is, how many approvers can use ApprovalMax for NetSuite?
As many as you wish. So there is really no limitation, starting from one user who will be doing everything, which probably not makes much sense, all the way to millions of users. And you can create a very complex workflows with multi-step. I've personally seen companies with 40 approval steps with 400 people involved in the approval process. I think that's like the maximum I've seen, but you can add more.
And what's really great is that actually you don't have to purchase another NetSuite subscription for that, which is quite pricey. They can be sitting all in ApprovalMax and have the full visibility of the documents that you will pull from NetSuite. We have one more question coming in from the participants. So how do you copy workflows for one organization to another? I'm currently struggling to do so for our vendor bill workflow. Alex, if you could help with that, would be awesome.
Sure, absolutely. Let me just share the screen once again. We have a special feature within ApprovalMax itself for you to copy your workflows. If you'll go back into your main menu and you'll scroll all the way to your approval workflows, and you'll open the one that you would like to copy, here right next to the update the workflow, you will find these three dots. You can select copy workflow, select where you would like to copy that to. It might be the same organization, might be the other one, and then you will be able to copy that across. There's only one thing, it's not a limitation, it's more like that it has to be compliant data that you would like to copy from one organization to another. So let's say in organization 1, you have one chart of account, in organization B, you have another one, and you would like to copy the workflow with these account codes to another one. So it won't be possible, it will show you an error. So the data that you want to copy should be the same across your organizations. Rather than that, everything will be working just fine. Same goes actually within the workflow itself. Let's say you've created rules for some of your users here. Maybe you have this guy who is approving all of these departments, and you would like to copy that particular column against some other person from your team. Just select 3 dots right next to that person's name, select copy rule to user, select which exact column you would like to copy, let's say department, and then decide where you would like to copy. In our case, it's going to be Chris under head of department step. Copy, boom, takes 1 second. Very easy.
Great. Thanks a lot for this quick demo of the feature. And we have one more question from Heather. Is the integration between ApprovalMax and NetSuite similar to that with ApprovalMax and Xero? What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So unfortunately not. With Xero and QuickBooks Online, we are using what it called handshake method, where you just simply select which company you'd like to connect, and they do the magic on behind the scenes. For NetSuite, it's a bit different. I will show you. So whenever you would like to add a new NetSuite organization under your ApprovalMax account, you need to provide certain things like Oracle NetSuite account ID, consumer key, consumer secret, and things like that. We have a very detailed instructions are under our knowledge base. It will take it something like 10 to 15 minutes to bring that kind of data and then connect that to your ApprovalMax account. So in case you want to find this instruction, just let us know. We'll be able to send you a link after the webinar. But overall, it takes just a couple of minutes to connect your ApprovalMax account to NetSuite.
Great, thanks a lot. We have one more question from Rob. So will our clients have to rebuild the workflows in ApprovalMax if they are migrating from QuickBooks Online to NetSuite, for example? Can they just switch seamlessly, or they have to create a new organization with new workflow?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you can have everything under one umbrella, under one account, but you won't be able to copy the data from QBO to NetSuite. They use completely different structures. That's why you won't be able to just simply copy that. In that case, you will need to create a workflow from the scratch, and that will be like 2 separate organizations. You still can have, let's say, read-only access to your data from QBO. You can just retire that organization. But for NetSuite, it will be sort of like from scratch.
Great. Thanks a lot. I don't see any other questions left. So I really encourage all of our participants to get in touch with our partner success or customer success team if you're existing users. If you're not, contact our sales team, and we would love to make a demo for you. And as Alex mentioned, you can start a free trial right away. So thank you very much for your time today, and have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, have a lovely day.